Coming to you from an undisclosed location somewhere deep in the heart of the Santa Monica Mountains, I am your intrepid host, L.A. Marzulli. Welcome to Questions with L.A. Well, folks, it's another Question with LA, and we'll be getting into them. But first, a word from our trusted sponsor. A powerful solar flare recently caused blackouts across the U.S. What's more is many fear that a future solar flare may be so strong that it causes a long-term power outage. Folks, I've been bagging on that for years. Anyway, this would cause us to go without the internet, radio, electricity, maybe even for months. Then, of course, what about an EMP? That's why I've been using today's sponsor, the Lightbug, and I absolutely love it. Thanks to Lightbug, I have unlimited power and ultra bright lighting from virtually anywhere, even during power outages. That's because it uses solar energy for its ultra bright floodlight and power bank, which performs excellently in low light situations. Folks, I've got it. The sponsors gave me one. It's unbelievable. You're going to love this light. Seriously. I get them free, but you need to go to www.lightbug.com or click the link in the description below to get 20% off the Lightbug, plus receive several bonuses with every order completely for free. Once again, that's www.lightbug.com. This thing is just, every now and then you get something that's better than sliced bread. This is it. So this is a question from Cindy, and thanks for writing in, Cindy. Let's see what you have to say. Hey, hi, LA. I heard you say at an event that Adam wasn't there, but the Bible clearly says that she handled the fruit to her husband who was with her. So I'm curious why you say that. Well, what I mean by that is this. We know that Eve is talking with the dragon, with the serpent. We don't know how long this conversation went on. We also don't know whether it was the first conversation or the 100th conversation. We have no idea. The bottom line is I do not believe Adam is on the scene. Adam comes in later. That's conjecture. We don't know. The Bible could go either way. I don't believe that Eve was with Adam when she took the first bite. I think she did it, and then Adam came into the scene later, and she said, hey, look what I did, and Adam did it. But, it's unclear. It's unclear. My vote, if I can have a vote here, would be to say that it's just Eve and the dragon talking. Hope that helps. Hey, I just started watching you the past month and don't know if you've addressed this yet. Is there a connection between AI and the breeding program? Really good question. Artificial intelligence. I find that artificial intelligence, in my opinion, is very, very dangerous. And to me, this is the reason why, another reason why we are in the last of the last days. There's a myriad of other reasons that tag into that, because you can't fix this. Once that thing gets going, who knows where it will lead us to. Do I think it has anything to do with the breeding program? No, I do not. Next question. I went to a youth camp for many years in Delavan. I've been there and know exactly what you're talking about, right on the lake. On the campgrounds was a large mound that was called the Elephant Grave. Wow. If we jumped on top of it, we were told what the elephant ghost would push us out of our bed. Knowing now what I know about the mounds makes me think that this was no elephant's grave. Really enjoyed it. I'm learning from you. Keep up the good work, Maria. Thanks, Maria, for writing in. Let me just weigh in on Lake Delavan. We were there. We followed a very old trail, specifically from 1911. I was there with a good friend of mine, Jeff Gregg, and we didn't find anything. We did find some of the mounds that are still on Lake Delavan. No one knew where the actual mound that the Phillips brothers dug up in 1911. I used to have photographs. I have some of them, but most of them are gone. The original Xerox copies that I made of the handwritten letters between the Phillips brothers and the state archaeologists in Madison, Wisconsin, burned in the fire. But I digress. We got to make coffee cups that say that, but more about that later. So here's the deal. We know in Lake Delavan that the Phillips brothers went into one of the mounds. It was sealed. The whole mound was sealed. It just, in other words, there was dirt covering the mound, but when they started to peel back the layers of dirt, they found a sealed tomb with some sort of a clay that they had never seen before. They opened that up, and inside that tomb were a group of skeletons with elongated skulls, and their knees were up to their chest, and they were very big and very different from human beings. The correspondence between the Madison, Wisconsin the head archaeologist there, and the Phillips brothers at Lake Delavan is unbelievable. And unfortunately, like I said, most of it, some of it left, and I've used some of it. I need to actually get one of my people to contact the museum and see if we can get Xeroxes of that, because it's very interesting. And of course, all that's a very colorful tale, and modern day archaeologists, well, there's really nothing to see here. The Phillips brothers didn't know how to measure what they found. Really, it wasn't what they found. They were looking for sensationalistic, and they weren't. The problem is that the newspaper people from New York City came to the place and sort of raided it in a way. So Lake Delavan is a charge site. When I was there at the hotel, some weird stuff happened. Someone else is new. But that's why we, pray up and get prayed up before we go on to these sites. This is from Don. Hey, Ellie, I'm writing in response to being recently introduced to you and your materials via the Property Watchers podcast and subsequently your film, which my wife and I watched yesterday. Well, we're linked at the hips with Property Watchers. There's no doubt. That's our go-to ministry. They get all of our material before anybody else does, because they've been loyal to us and we've been loyal to them. As a longtime believer, conservative, raised in a Pentecostal church, trained and in ministry, I've been shocked and surprised by very little over the years. Not so with your materials. Wow. I hope this ends in a good way. Yet having been primed a bit by Michael Heiser's material over the past 3 years about the Nephilim, I was able to digest your materials with ease. Nevertheless, after seeing your film about the coming disclosure, I'm left with a couple very provocative questions. The term hybrids. You mention often in your interviews or materials the term hybrid. Do you consider these hybrids Nephilim? Or are you non-committed about this and hence your term hybrids? I guess they would have to be Nephilim, as they are not up there creating pure humans. In my opinion, the hybrids that Al Matthews encountered, Diane, for lack of a better name, that was a Nephilim hybrid, in my opinion. They are manifesting, they are walking amongst us. These are modern day Nephilim hybrids. Go to Daniel chapter 2, verse 43. Their seed will mingle with the seed of men, but they will not cleave to them. That word cleave is from Jim Williamson. He taught me this. Thanks, Jim. It's the word that's given in marriage. A man will leave his father and mother and cleave to his wife. It's a marriage ceremony. No cleaving. I first heard this from Dr. Chuck Missler years and years and years ago, and I've never forgotten it, and I use it quite often. The bottom line is the grays are different than the hybrids. So we could go down that. But this, Don, you've got a lot of questions here, my friend. The matter of evangelism. I personally believe that there is no salvation for fallen angels or demons. I completely agree with you there. So what are the implications for the hybrids? Well, Satan's outnumbered 2-1. I quote Chuck Missler. He's creating an army. These hybrids are obsessed with mating with us. They are soulless. They are in a fixed state. They are irredeemable. And they go to the same place the fallen ones and the demons go to. I've never been aware of hybrids and don't even know how widespread they are currently. But just a hypothetical question now. What if I came across a person and I'm witnessing to them and they suddenly manifest hybrid-like characteristics, just like your interviewee from the film? Does this mean that I break off all witnessing? My own gut response is to continue witnessing because I would need to discern whether or not the person is manifesting due to being a hybrid or for potentially being demon-possessed, etc. Well, that's a really good question, and that's a case-by-case decision, isn't it? I mean, obviously, if you're preaching the gospel and someone is demon-possessed, that demon inside of them is not going to like what you're saying and is going to react to it. We've had people on the show that have squirmed in their seat, and I've seen this also when we've interviewed people. So, that's very interesting. And then he continues, and then are the hybrids even capable of being saved if they are interested? No. Hybrids, in my opinion, are soulless. They are the seed of the dragon. Because they're soulless, they are modern day Nephilim. There is no salvation because they're not human. This is why when Joshua and Caleb go into the promised land, the mandate comes down from a loving holy God to wipe everybody out because they're not human beings. They're not human. Read Doug Hamp's book, Corrupting the Image. Go back and read some of my stuff. Countermove, have a Nephilim returned after the flood. I think you'll find it interesting. So continuing from there. I'm speculating here, but if they really are Nephilim, then it's likely that their wicked side is the dominant side, and thus they will want nothing to do with God anyway. Exactly. The late Russ Dizdar used to say, and we've talked about this, Russ, before he passed away, these hybrids are in a fixed state. They're in a fixed state. There is no salvation to them. They don't want to be saved, and we could continue from there. So it could be that none of them will play a victim role other than for purpose of deception. This is crazy. I can't believe the places my mind is going. Look, I get this. This is why Genesis 3:15 is the gateway to the Bible. If we have the correct exegesis, the correct interpretation of Genesis 3:15, when we arrive at all these puzzling dynamics, we have answers for them. There is a breeding program. There is a mingling of the seed. Continue. Thank you for pointing out the biblical basis for the seed wars. I've known about Genesis 3:15, 6, and Genesis 6, 1-6, but that's where it all ended for me. To see Daniel 2:43 as it pertains to end-of-age events, nothing short of stunning. Thanks for making me aware of it all. Again, my hat is off to Chuck Missler. Chuck taught me that years and years and years ago, but we keep repeating it because Daniel 2:43 is paramount to our understanding of the end times, because the book is sealed until the time of the end. The book is sealed until the time of the end. Now is the time of the end. The book is unsealed, and this is why we can talk about that scripture and give good biblical exegesis to it. Okay, I'm sort of digesting it all, not at all shaken or uneasy about it, but it just forces me to reconsider larger picture items. Anyway, I don't expect you to answer all of these questions, but I did. But perhaps the questions are good questions to touch on an upcoming Prophecy Watchers podcast. And all the videos and podcasts I've heard with you, I don't think these questions have ever been broached. Thanks again, LA, and God bless you and your work as a light bearer. Don Fiender, Gstaad, Switzerland. And there you go. I'm going to leave that here because I'm going to email him and make sure that he gets, he understands that we're going to run that program this week. That's it, folks. Don't forget Roswell 1 and Roswell 2. You can go to our streaming site, streaming.lamarzulli.net, streaming.lamarzulli.net, or if you want the hard copy DVDs, lamarzulli.net. Folks, I will be back in Oklahoma, specifically in Guthrie. Go to the website, lamarzulli.net, and you can see exactly how many times I'm speaking, and also Mondo Gonzalez will be there, Pete Garcia will be there, Lee Brandon will be there. So, if you're at all in that area, Guthrie, Edmond, Oklahoma City, please consider coming out and checking out the incredible conference we're going to have. It's an honor to be there with these guys. And of course, I will be talking about all things Nephilim and Roswell and our UFO films. Don't forget the films. And don't forget this, folks, UFOs are real, burgeoning, not going away. If you've got a question, shoot us an email, questions@lamarzulli.net, questions@lamarzulli.net. Thanks so much for watching.